What unsupervised childhood activities did you participate in that probably should have killed you? Climbing trees way too high. My cousins and I, from the time we were toddlers, were just sent out into the forest in the morning with nothing but whistles to scare the bears. One time I chased a bear. The Great Rock Wars. In grade school we played this during recess. We just whipped pebbles at each other. Hard. Also, I pay homage to my fallen 4th grade friend. May we never forget you. We used to play with chemicals in my neighbor's garage. Like combine all different kinds of chemicals we could find. I would assume lawn care and car chemicals. In her garage into a hole in the cement floor. At least we were smart or lucky enough to keep the garage door open. I grew up in Kigali, Rwanda. After the 1994 genocide there were land mines all over the place. We used to walk to our primary school. About 1.5 kilometers. As kids we used to play soccer on the street while walking to school. So one day the ball fell in the bush as always. And I went for it. Little did I know that the stone-like thing under the ball was a notorious landmine. I got the ball and I asked the other older kid what it was. 10 minutes later the entire neighborhood was on site talking about how I just cheated death. Never will I ever forget it. If I stepped on the mine that afternoon, I wouldn't be writing this today. I grew up within the boundaries of Tufts University's campus. At the end of my street was a campus building that was 6 stories high. I remember climbing to the top of the fire escape, stepping over the railing onto the slate-pitched roof. I held onto the dormer and made my way on top of that roof. Then I would walk up to the pitch of the roof and straddle the pitch and look out on the Boston skyline. I was under 10 years old. Well over 100 feet up. One slip and I was sidewalk pizza. I can't believe I survived being a latchkey kid in the 80s. Oh man, I could write a book about it. Growing up in the Rust Belt and playing in the industrial relics, I'm still surprised I'm somehow alive. Plus my buddy's grandpa was a gunsmith, so we had black powder. You can imagine what we did with that. Also swimming in the river and fucking around by the train tracks. Yeah. I don't know how I even still have all my OEM fingers and toes. We used to dig tunnels through the hay that they stored in the barn that would be like 10 meters high in places. The tunnels would regularly collapse and we'd just shrug it off and dig another. I used to have free rein in the woods behind the base housing at Fort Bragg. My friends and I would ride our bikes through the woods for hours in the summer at the tender age of 7 like it wasn't a big deal. I'd never let my 7-year-old now wander around the woods like that nowadays. One day we found a vine that was dangling next to a ravine and do a Tarzan Juno across it. It was probably a good 30-foot drop to the bottom of a pit filled with jagged rock and dubious puddles of ick. I wasn't supposed to show my parents. But I did one day and they freaked out and cut it down. My friends were mad at me for like a minute until they all agreed it was indeed incredibly dangerous and for the best. Perhaps the most logical conclusion I have ever seen kids come to in my life. Previous owner of my childhood home left a bunch of random chemicals in the garage. He was into home improvement and stuff. And my siblings tool to playing. Mad scientist. Several instances of unknown gases spreading through the garage later and were still around. In the 50s and 60s you could get chemistry sets complete with a vial of mercury and other dangerous chemicals. Man, it was fun playing with that mercury and mixing various chemicals to see what would happen. Next we'll talk about the wood burning set and the toy that came with a cauldron to melt metal and pour it into molds to make soldiers and whatnot. All while mom was upstairs fixing dinner. My brother and I would bend our mattresses in half and then sit on them. Release them and fling ourselves across the room into the wall. We were not bright children, but damn did we have fun. Back in the old days when folks didn't lock doors. My dumb ass used to go in my neighbors' houses and wander about while they slept. Then I'd get scared and leave. Very dangerous as a 6-year-old young lady. Edit. It was 1994. My parents were asleep and I was stealthy. It was maybe the same 4 to 5 family houses on my block and I never got caught. I have many angels. Fire. Lots of fire. Rip to the folks that engaged in these activities. But never made it to this thread. Growing up in a family that hunted, it wasn't uncommon to find 22 bullets in the garage or in hunting bags. My brother would take bullets that he found, place them on a log, and then smash them with a hammer. Luckily he outgrew that phase. Lawn darts. Except no one was throwing em at the rings. Nope, toss em straight up in the sky and scatter. Edit. Holy shit. Woke up to a megatron of notices and immediately thought, oh shit, what comment of mine was a total fuck up. Turns out nope, no fuck up, just a bunch of kindred souls. Making snow forts. Fortunately my friend found my legs because I was panicking while suffocating. Some parents seem concerned their kids will have sex when they're teenagers. I'm terrified my kids will go off and do some of the things I used to do with friends and get unlucky and die. There was a train bridge near where I went to school. It went over a ravine with a shallow creek. We would climb underneath it. For a little bit it was a middle school fad to throw yourself off public buses as they were slowing down and do a roll on the sidewalk. I smacked my midsection on a telephone pole and had bruises for weeks lol. As fun as it really was. I am still surprised how more of us didn't get seriously injured, killed on old school playground equipment. I'm 29 but I'm old enough to remember when playgrounds were filled with gravel. Not wood chips or shredded rubber. Holy hell. Good thing small kids are shockingly resilient because I know I face planted on those rocks more times than I can count. Edit. It has been brought to my attention that the wood chips were not much better. Either way, getting scraped up is part of being a kid. And life for that matter. One of the favorite places to hang out when I was a teenager was a disused railway bridge on the edge of the town. The land had begun to reclaim the top and was all overgrown. Except for a small part in the center. There were amazing views of the town from there. And we used to head up there most summer evenings and relax with some smokes and alcohol. It was fairly well hidden from public and the police. So we used to get up to no good. One dude who was irritating AF used to tag along, as he was the younger brother one of the girls. He was sat on the 1-foot wall looking down at the stream below. And this lad grabbed him and dangled him over the edge. Was a pretty big drop down to the rocky stream underneath. Maybe 30 feet. The dickhead let go of the poor lad's hand. So he grabbed the wall of the bridge. Then he let go of his other hand. Again. He clung onto the wall for dear life. Then fell. Luckily, there was no serious damage, other than his soaked clothes. The lad who dangled him over didn't hang round with us after that. We made sure of it. Swimming in the drainage canal by my house. Barbed wire. Horseshit. Concrete. Fertilizer runoff, etc. My cousins and I, from the time we were toddlers, were just sent out into the forest in the morning with nothing but whistles to scare the bears. One time I chased a bear. The Great Rock Wars. In grade school we played this during recess. We just whipped pebbles at each other. Hard. Also, I pay homage to my fallen 4th grade friend. May we never forget you. We used to play with chemicals in my neighbor's garage. Like combine all different kinds of chemicals we could find. I would assume lawn care and car chemicals. In her garage into a hole in the cement floor. At least we were smart or lucky enough to keep the garage door open. Climbing trees way too high.